ancient Judaic belief in purgatory, in a
Well,
purgation.
let's examine part of your comment there. You said
Sure.
you talked about suffering. This doesn't say that they would be delivered from suffering. This says that they might be delivered from sin. Isn't that
Right,
correct?
correct. The word suffering is not in this passage at all.
No, it's not.
No, it is not.
And the concept of suffering isn't there either. It just says that they might be delivered from sin.
Absolutely.
And the reference there is actually to the resurrection, because it says that if he hadn't believed in the resurrection, it would have been superfluous and vain.
Yes,
Is that
absolutely,
correct?
absolutely. This whole book is considered a clear example of the ancient belief in the resurrection, and I think it's interesting that you bring that up. You're right that the passage where it says, "Whereupon he made a reconciliation for the dead, that they may be delivered from sin," he does not mention that these individuals are suffering, but nevertheless he has some sort of need to pray for them in order that they may be delivered. We aren't told that they are suffering at all. But the very fact that he is making an offering for them to be delivered from sin, I think that is very interesting. Of course, we don't find that they're suffering here, but I would argue
Yeah.
that in the context it is clear that they must have been in some sort of...
Well, in the context, isn't it? Mhm.
No, go ahead.
Isn't it possible? Isn't it possible and reasonable to think that he's offering this so that they will be delivered from sin, so that they will receive the resurrection of life? Isn't that one reasonable understanding of this?
Absolutely. That is the exact reason why anybody would pray for a departed person so that they can receive their heavenly reward. Absolutely.
Well, if my understanding of purgatory is this, that those who are in purgatory will be resurrected unto life. There are no people who are going to be stuck in purgatory after the judgment day.
Well, I realize that I can't ask a question, but if you could just clarify, are you saying that people that are in purgatory have their glorified bodies already? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay,
as far as I know, they don't. So
okay,
they
yes,
haven't experienced the resurrection.
that is
But
correct.
this verse is talking about the resurrection. So that's why I'm asking you, if he's doing this in view of the resurrection, doesn't that suggest that his understanding is that he's praying in order that they will receive the resurrection of life, that they'll receive their bodies unto glory?
Absolutely, he's praying that they receive their glory. Basically, I would argue of course, the word isn't here, but their heavenly glory, which is the main reason why he says that he believes that they died in godliness. I think this passage fits in perfectly because individuals that pray for people that are in purgatory, the main goal, the reason that we do such, is that they are able to partake in the resurrection, that they're able to partake in heavenly glory, to receive their glorified bodies. So I think this
Well,
passage would fit in perfectly. I don't know if
well,
you're
isn't
if you're
there?
going in a different angle, but
Yes, I
I
am.
see
I'm
it.
going at a little different angle.
Okay, if you could explain, please.
Yes, I will. What it gets to is, isn't there another way that we can view this expression about great favor laid up for those that died godly, instead of viewing it as you view it, as referring to those who died as idolaters? Couldn't it refer instead as a contrast between those in other words, he saw their plight in contrast to the great favor laid up for those that died godly, and consequently he was eager to make reconciliation for them, so that when the resurrection came, they would be resurrected with the godly.
Absolutely, I think let me go over verse 44 right away, which I think will clear up exactly what the angle that I'm coming at it from. Verse 44 reads, "For if he had not hoped that they that were slain should have risen again, it had been superfluous, and vain to pray for the dead." I think the very fact of the matter is that the author believes in the resurrection without a doubt, and the fact of the matter is this individual believes that these people have sin, vestiges of sin, yet still died in godliness, and he believes in the resurrection. And in order for them to attain the resurrection to glory, he believes that it is a holy and wholesome thought to pray for the dead, as verse 45 tells us, so that they can be delivered from their sin. I think that is rather clear.
Well, my question was a little different. My question was this: you keep seeming to presuppose that these people are the ones who are described as dying godly. And I'm
Absolutely.
suggesting that that word for those that died godly could be understood reasonably as in contrast to these men. There's great favor for those that died godly, and consequently, some reconciliation is needed for these ones because these ones didn't die godly. They died in sin and on account of sin.
Okay.
That's what I'm proposing as an alternative. And
I,
what's wrong with that?
I'm trying to wrap myself around what you're saying. Are you basically dividing the groups of people into two groups? Basically, those that died in idolatry and those that did not die and died in godliness. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that this is a gnomic expression that those that died godly, there's great favor for those that died godly. In other words, there's a great favor for
Are you
people who.
okay? Are you arguing? Excuse me, I know I can't ask questions, but just to clarify, are you arguing that these individuals did not die? That the author does not believe that they died in godliness?
Yes, he believed. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Okay.
in context, that it appears they died in sin, and that this is a contrast. There's a contrast between them and those who died godly. And I'm asking you, why is that? What's wrong with that
I,
understanding of the
I,
text?
I honestly don't see that. I'm reading the passage. I clearly see that in verse 45. As far as I can see it, I think the author is explicitly referring to these groups of individuals that have died, and he's saying that they died in godliness. The Greek term was
Now,
sabias. I don't see,
now,
I don't
aside
see
from
the
that word,
kai here.
that word God,
Excuse me.
aside from that word godliness, what else in the passage would make you think these were godly men?
Well, because very good question. Because he says here that great favor was laid up for those that died in godliness. Right after that, he says it is a holy and good thought. It would be beyond a shadow of a doubt that it would not be a holy or good thought to pray for individuals that did not die in godliness. There would be no way that they could be reconciled for their sin, and they would not see the resurrection. The author is very clear about that. But because he believes in the resurrection, he tells us here that these people that died in godliness, that he is making a reconciliation for them so that they may be delivered from their sin in the afterlife.
Yeah, I believe that was the end of my 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right. I hadn't noticed. All right.